Hi, Bethany here from Dogger-Sized Dog Training. Today we're going to be talking about leash training puppies. Now, a really common problem I get calls about all the time is puppies that put the brakes on outside when they're going for a walk. It might happen from the moment you step out the door, or it might happen a little ways down the street and they just freeze and settle in and they don't want to go anywhere. And I'm actually going to show you a dog where she just looks for stuff on the ground. She's completely out of tune with her owner, and she puts the brakes on constantly when something startles her, and sometimes food won't even snap her out of it. So we're actually going to start with the threshold, which is the door. And the reason I'm really going to stress this, that's really important, is you're going to see the difference between the puppy leading the way, seemingly confident, and then putting the brakes on. Now sometimes dogs will put the brakes on because something has startled them, something has scared them, or they realize they're far from home and they get nervous. And then sometimes they put the brakes on to be bratty because they want to go this way and sniff, and you need to go the other way. So you kind of got to be able to tell which one that is. But I'm going to show you how to get rid of both of those things. Whenever you lead the way out the door and just have the puppy wait, there's like a switch that goes off. They're no longer in charge, and you're confident and you're leading them, so it's much easier to get them more in tune with you and not get so nervous because you led the way out the door, so you must know what you're doing, so they're more likely to follow you. So there's definitely that confidence factor in the sense where you're fine, come on, let's go, and you kind of got that energy going on. And then plus, especially with puppies, you want to use treat reinforcement. But don't pull out kibble on your first day, going outside. Bring something good in. With this dog, we use lunch meat. I don't recommend you use a lot of lunch meat because it's high in sodium, but tiny, tiny, tiny pieces, like, half the size of my pinky nail, for just a few treats for encouragement. And then after a few days, you won't even need them. You may not need them at all, but you can kind of go down, in value as far as the treats go. And then pretty soon you will be able to just use their kibble if you want to work with them on stuff outside. But you definitely want to bring in something really yummy on the first day, something maybe they've never even had before if you're really struggling. Okay, all right, so this is Zoe, the cute little Shih Tzu trying to walk on a leash, so she's adorable. Enjoy. Okay, so from the moment the harness comes on, there's resistance, you can tell. So there's constant pressure on the leash, and it's constant pulling, and it's because she won't move. You can tell if she loosens up, she immediately turns back around. Now right here, she finally decides she wants to go somewhere, so she pulls into the grass, and the owner allows her to do that because in your mind you're thinking, oh, she finally wants to go somewhere, so you just let her go where you want. But the problem is when you try to get her to actually start moving again, she won't do it. And then she was constantly picking stuff up, in her mouth that she shouldn't have because she's a puppy. So kind of like babies, they like to put everything in their mouths, except even worse. So again, you can see the owner just kind of walks with her because if she tries to walk properly at all, Zoe just completely puts the brakes on and will not go. See, you can tell just even right here, there's not even anything to eat. And we're not doing this, to be cruel and to just show pulling. Zoe genuinely would not move unless she was dragged. So you can see that tension is creating a lot of uncomfortableness, and it's making Zoe just really not trust her at all. So we go back in and we start again from the very beginning because that's where the important stuff is at. The first major change is I put a slip leash on her and I block her right here from exiting. See? She starts to follow me and I just block her. And then I give her permission to come outside. Now, since I have a slip leash on her, look. See that little pop? I have control of her head now. Look how it changes her demeanor. See, there's another one right there. She's already more relaxed and she's in follower mode. I've made it clear that she can't just pull to the side, so she's just watching me. Now I'm also being really big with praise here. Yes, good girl, come on, see that tail wag? She's much more comfortable, much more confident, and most importantly, she's in tune with me now. She's looking up at me. Here, so there she goes for the side. Again, those little fruit balls coming off the tree. And another correction, and she's looking at me again. So now that I've kind of made an impression on her, we're going to try to do it with the harness. And she has a bad habit with the harness of stopping, so it'll be a little tougher because I don't have control of her head, and she has the previous bad habits. So right here she's stalling, just like she's used to doing, and I give her a second, and I give her a little pop, and I say, let's go. Really excitedly, really confidently. And it's not like a pop like this big correction. It's more like a cue. It's more like information, come this way, snap out of it, come this way. I'm not doing, some big correction where I'm trying to settle down the dog. I'm giving information. So there's a difference between one big pop correction because your dog might do something bad, than several little ones in a row that are used more for motivational purposes. Now look at this right here. It's the first time I brought out food. And at first she didn't want it, but then she's like, you know what? Yeah, I do. And then she takes off after it. And it's because she's just more in tune with me and she's more settled because I had control of her head. I didn't let her sniff. I said, we're going this way. You can do it. Let's go. Just a lot of motivation, a lot of really strong motivation. And so see here, I want to make it fun for her, while at the same time she realizes it's not a choice. And you have to get her over that mental block where she feels the harness and she just freezes up. Okay, so that's why we started with the slip leash, and sometimes I'll have the family do the slip leash too. But she didn't really need it. She just needed someone to tell her that she could do it, and then she did it. Now that doesn't mean that she won't have a bad day and maybe need to be put on a slip, just an easy slip leash or clip to her flat collar again, just to have a little bit more control of her head, which is what we did when we went around the corner for the first time, because that was the hardest for her. And when she walked with Mom the first time, we had to make sure we had the slip leash on her to create that conversation where she can't constantly be stopping and getting stuff off the ground. Now watch, she gets nervous of that equipment right there, tail goes down, but look how confident Mom is moving, so she doesn't even think one thing about it. The tail goes back up, she goes into follower mode, because obviously Mom's got this. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. Now right here, there's a little bit too much loose leash because she could easily get out into the grass. So we're just having the owner, not a tight leash, just a shorter leash where there's only a few inches of slack. Otherwise she'd still be able to pick stuff up off the ground, constantly be pulling towards the grass, which we don't want. See, like right there, just need a little bit shorter of a leash. Relaxed arms, which is really difficult for a lot of people. They feel like because they have a hold of a leash, they got to hold it up. But you really want to relax those arms because the dogs can feel that tension. And especially when you start to see other dogs and deal with other people, you want to be able to completely relax and have that loose leash. Now this is an important place to just kind of pause. See how she put the brakes on there and sat down? She's gone around the corner and gone further than she's ever gone with her mom. So this is out of habit. So we're going to give her a second, give her a little breather. And then Mom's going to pull out a treat, see if it works. It immediately snaps her out of it because she is more in tune with us than she was at the beginning. And then Mom confidently says, all right, let's go. And look at the attention that we're getting now. So she just bends over, treats her again while Zoe is walking. Now the leash is a little bit too loose right here. There's a little bit too much slack. So she'll tighten up on that in a bit. So here we've got the freeze again. So we're just going to let her take a deep breath, let her breathe for a second, and then it's real strong. Let's go. No treat that time, just a really strong let's go. So this next part was really important to keep in here. Notice how the leash is going to stay pretty taut here in a second once she starts going again. And it creates that distrust all over again to where she doesn't want to go. So see, it stays tight instead of just a little snap, tight again, and she got pulled. So she goes kind of behind because she doesn't want to go anymore. She's being pulled again, just like with the harness from the beginning. See, she's not actually putting the brakes on. She just doesn't want to go because the leash is constantly tight. So she doesn't want to follow mom. So you guys got to be really, really conscious of that. You cannot have a tight leash. If you want to get your dog to move, then start incorporating just a really strong energy, frame of mind, let's go this way, and incorporate treats and a loose leash, and your dog will follow that energy to the ends of the earth. It might take some practice if they've already got some bad behaviors, because just like you saw with her, you have to get her over those humps, but you can absolutely do it with that really motivational, coach-like, yeah, let's go kind of attitude. And so we really focused on that, and she was perfect. And now we're trying it here with the harness. Now, as you can see, she's eager to go outside again, and mom is just blocking her with her feet. It's not a big, huge thing. She's not saying no or sit or stay, nothing like that. We're just taking our time and just blocking her with our feet. And so every time mom moves kind of to the side, the owner moves to the side, and Zoe bolts for the door, she just steps back in front of Zoe. And now we're just kind of testing her. This is what keeps your dogs nice and calm before the walk even starts. And she's a puppy, so it's really easy. We're just using spatial pressure to create that calm attitude. So there's a little bit more of a pull than a pop cue than I'd like. But see, look, she pushes right through it. She does great, and that's probably because mom was like, let's go. And so she's in follower mode. I mean, look at this. This is the corner that she could never get around, and now she's getting around it on a harness, which is great, especially for little flat-nosed breeds. So she gets a treat. We want to be preventative, too. You don't want to wait till they mess up before you pull out food. If you know they have some rough spots, go ahead and make it fun. And you don't always have to stop and sit. Just, treat while you're moving. Make the fun part the movement aspect of it, like you saw me running backwards earlier in the beginning. It's almost like a come, asking for a come on the walk. So anything you got to do to really, really keep up that motivation. And, make sure when you're talking to them, you're not saying, oh, yeah, good job, good job. They'll ignore that completely if they want to go smell a smell. I mean, you need to sound like a coach. It needs to be like, good, yes, good job. Zoe, let's go. Yes, come on. I mean, it's got to sound really authoritative as well as motivating. Oh, she's doing so great. I'm waiting for her to stall again because I'm sure she will. So right here we have a moment of, ooh, maybe I want to go over here, and mom says, nope, let's go. Just a couple little pop cues right there to keep her engaged, because there's people over on the other side of that gate too. And just really confident. See, she looks up at mom, eye contact. Oh, here we go. Here's a stall. So you just kind of pause for a second, let her breathe, and then, hey, let's go, come on. And she really, look at that. She just steps right up in tune. So, really gauge it based off of your dog. If your dog is more stressed out than this, then incorporate more food. Give them a few breaks, a few sniff breaks to sit in the grass when you give them permission to. And when they do put on the brakes, give them a little bit longer of a moment than we're giving Zoe. Just make sure that you don't let them retreat backwards, okay? That's really the key here. So here's another moment where we actually just give Zoe a break because she is a little overwhelmed. And then it's, hey, let's go. And by having that can-do attitude, it makes her feel like she can follow you anywhere because, mom's got this under control. And then right here, we do the same thing going inside. You don't want your dogs rushing inside, especially because she's got kids, and we don't want Zoe to get overexcited and burst through. Excited to be home. We want her to stay in that calmer state of mind, so there's no nipping or biting or barking or any of that. So you do the same thing outside of the door as well. So this is Zoe just with some leadership and some treats and no tension on the leash, because that's what causes distrust. You can see how a puppy can very, very quickly be accustomed to getting over their fears and walking down the street with no problem. It really is the owners that just have to work on their timing and their consistency. And of course you're going to make mistakes. That's why I included them in the video. That's going to happen. That's part of learning. But just persevere through them. And then if you have any questions, you can always email me at info@doggersizela.com. Check out our website if you're local to LA, doggersizedogtraining.com, for some information. And then don't forget to subscribe. We've got lots of videos like this, including one right here of working on thresholds when people come in the house. Just click on the link right here or check below.